Alright, today we got why Plants vs. Zombies 3 failed. It's sad to see. A little bit of backstory. Plants vs. Zombies was actually my favorite childhood game for real. The second one, it was cool, but I really stopped playing when they started adding all the microtransactions and stuff. Y'all know how that is, but let's get into the video. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Plants vs. Zombies. Possibly the most iconic tower defense game of all
Definitely.
time that spawned a huge ongoing series. Oh, and then you've got Plants vs. Zombies 2, one of the most popular mobile games ever made, that has continued to receive updates for over a
I never even knew the
decade.
third one released.
What the hell is this? Sponsored by 𝑭𝑹𝑵. Plants vs. Zombies 3 is a game that some of you probably didn't even know existed. However, that would add up as it's been stuck in development hell for over 8 years and has been deleted from the App Store multiple times for sucking too much. But how did this even happen? How did one of the most revolutionary and well-known puzzle games go from win after win after win to flopping so hard? And what actually makes this game so bad in the first place? Well, 𝑬𝑨𝑬𝑚 is here to revisit the Plants vs. Zombies series in a pathetic attempt to regain his relevance. Subscribe for more! The 3 most important world events in history: the moon landing, World War II, and Plants vs. Zombies was released.
Get Outplayed and say hello to your free creepy pet. Outplayed auto-records every build.
Released on May 5th, 2009. You protect your house from zombies via 𝑭𝑗, it's got tons of levels, it's insanely addicting, yada yada, you know this already. This, at the time, was one of the most popular games in the world, largely due to its mobile port, which sent the series' popularity to Pluto, the dwarf planet. 4 years later, they burst back onto the scene with Plants vs. Zombies 2, which was essentially a direct upgrade to the original. More levels, more plants, more mini-games, more microtransactions, wait, more microtransactions? But
Oh no.
microtransactions make game bad. No. And while this game was criticised for its freemium model, I'd say it paid off as PvZ2 became even more popular than the original, gaining over 200 million downloads. According to my calculations, that's a lot. After this huge success, they went on to release spin-off titles such as the Garden Warfare series. The series
Never really played those for real.
These games also did really well. However, something dark, sick and twisted was on the horizon. A mediocre video game. In 2016, PopCap began developing Plants vs. Zombies 3, with some early concept art being posted online. There isn't much info out there about the early development of the game. However, it was announced during a China licensing expo that the game was planned to release in late 2017. Unsurprisingly, that didn't end up being the case, and for the next couple of years, PopCap were basically silent about what they had planned for the series. The public had no idea they were working on both poo-poo and caca. However, that all changed on July 16th, 2019, when Plants vs. Zombies 3 was officially announced and a pre-alpha test was initiated for limited users. Ew! When people got access to this pre-alpha, there was immediate disappointment.
Oh no.
As this game looked so weird. Gone was the cartoonish stylized art style, which was one of the main things the series was known for, and instead the game had a new 3D but still 2D overly smooth corporate ad look to it. What did they do to the pea shooter? Where's his 𝑭𝑹𝑚? Also, you may notice that this video seems to have taken 𝑬𝑗 and is a bit thinner than usual. And that's because, for some disturbed reason, this game was exclusively stuck in portrait mode. Now, I know it's a mobile game. I can understand the decision behind making it vertical only, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. How are you going to squeeze this horizontal lawn onto a vertical screen? This looks so cramped. I really don't understand why there wasn't at least an option to play both vertically and horizontally. I'm no game developer, but I really don't think that would have been hard. Gameplay-wise, it was still just Plants vs. Zombies. But it felt like everything that made the game good and interesting was just not there. There were significantly less plants, even less zombie variety, no mini-games, no replayable levels, no endless mode, no multiplayer, and no sunflowers. Sunflowers!
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, the thing that made the original games interesting. Not there. You just got one sun every 3 seconds, because who needs strategy? Well, 𝑬𝑨𝑰𝑳 with slightly longer hair, if you want strategy, then why not try out today's sponsor, War Thunder, the most extensive vehicle combat game.
Y'all check that out, gotta skip this though.
This dumbed down gameplay, partnered with the boring art style, left a really bad taste in people's mouths, receiving really bad reviews from even the most dedicated fans. It felt like a step back rather than a step forward. And while yes, this was meant
definitely
to be
looks like a step back
game for early playtesting, it really wasn't a good look for a game that had supposedly been in development for 3 years. After nearly a year, the game finally left the pre-alpha stage, and 2 weeks later, soft launch worldwide. And by worldwide, I mean not worldwide at all, it was available in like 3 countries. Why? I'm sure it costs money to release a game worldwide, okay. But you do want people to play your game, right? Like, does the Plants vs Zombies team think the entire fanbase is located in Ireland and Romania? I don't understand this decision. This is just purely limiting the amount of people that can play your game, is it not? It's almost as if they knew the game was mediocre and didn't want the world to see it. The game received some updates, notably to the stupid sun mechanic, making it slightly better, adding a larger variety of plants and zombies, and developing creative ways of stealing your money. This game
How does it take 8 years to make this?
Despite the pretty
I don't
huge
understand.
amount of effort that seemed to have gone into it. PopCap were obviously trying. This doesn't look lazily made in the slightest. It's just the decisions that were made that don't make any sense. This wasn't Plants vs Zombies 3, this was Plants vs Zombies 0.5. But maybe if they put enough work into this game, fixed many of the issues people had with it, and didn't give up on it, this game could become a true next generation PvZ game. They gave up on it. Not even a year after the launch, Plants vs Zombies 3 was binned. Not just downtime, they didn't just make it temporarily unavailable, they deleted it. All that work gone into it? Bye-bye. I guess in their eyes, the game was just unsavable, and the only possible way of creating a great experience was starting from scratch. Was it worth it? On September 7th, 2021, only 10
what they
months
cooked up.
after the game was shut down, Plants vs Zombies 3 was completely remade from the ground up and relaunched into beta, and okay, this immediately looked so much better. First things first, thank crazy Dave above, they got rid of the putrid 3D art style and returned to the classic cartoony design. It was, however, still technically 3D and was just stylized to look more
Yeah, that looks
like
way
2D
better
models.
though.
And I've seen a lot of people complain about this, and honestly, I think this is completely fine. I understand the original fully 2D designs had more charm to them, but from a development standpoint, it makes infinitely more sense to make them 3D. And what, you're gonna tell me this is better? What do you mean, yes? But gameplay-wise, while it did feel more classic as they brought back the regular sunflower mechanic, thank God, this game was even more bare bones than the previous build. And while I get it, it makes sense as they had to start pretty much from scratch, it means that one of the biggest criticisms, that being the lack of content, was not only not fixed, but even worse. Less plants, less zombies. You can't pick the plants you use. There were no game modes, that's right, none. It was available in an impressive 2 countries, and they introduced, quite possibly, the stupidest feature.
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With 𝑭𝑹𝑵, you can.
In Plants vs Zombies history, lives. So you know how when you play a game, you like to be able to, you know, play it? Well, not anymore. You'd start off with 5 lives, and if you lost them all, you had to stop playing. It physically would not let you continue until you generated more lives. But don't worry, there is a way you can speed this process up.
The credit card.
This is pathetic and nothing more than PopCap or EA or whoever trying to get money out of people, said people most likely being children. Instead of focusing on making this game an enjoyable installment in the PvZ series, the developers were simply luring people in with the IP in a sad attempt to drain their bank accounts. The game itself did feel a bit more like the game people know and love, but the model surrounding it felt like every other mobile game. And once again, similarly to the previous release, fans were not happy with it, and who can blame them? Why entirely scrap the previous version if you're just going to do the same thing again with slightly different things wrong this time? This beta phase lasted about 2 weeks, so it really was a short test, and PopCap decided that the best way of communicating with the community was to be completely silent and drop random betas that barely anyone could access. There was another 2-week beta 7 months later, and then another one 6 months after that. But in fairness, they each brought decently large updates, focused on adding new plants, smoothing out rough edges, and fleshing out the story mode. Now, the previous entries in the PvZ series didn't have much of a story other than Crazy Dave occasionally going 𝑬𝑬𝑬𝑬. However, things were different with this game, as there was now much more stuff to do outside of the battles, like upgrading buildings, doing tasks and talking to Dave. Wait, hang on, why isn't he crazy? Who wants to talk to regular Dave? Bog standard Dave. And as cool as I'm sure this is for the people who care about the ongoing Plants vs Zombies lore, to the average person, this is just something you had to get past in order to keep playing. Like, I'm sorry, most people just don't care about doing stuff like this. You didn't have to spend 5 minutes cleaning up before you could continue playing in Plants vs Zombies 1, because it wasn't designed like every other mobile game out there, something this entry was miserably failing at. Why were PopCap so insistent on making a game that looked like PvZ, but wasn't? They were putting more time and effort into the garbage meant to keep your attention and yoink your hard-earned money than the bits where you verse the zombies as plants. That is the name of the game! All these lackluster updates that addressed barely any of the issues people had with the game was so disappointing for the long-time fans of this series.
You know, it's sad because this is like the direction a lot of games these days are going in.
And after the last short beta phase, they were left with nothing for over 14 months. All news about this game just stopped, and the people who had supported these developers for years were once again left in the dark. But that was all about to change, as on one cold January morning, our forsaken lands were blessed with the warmth and grace of something with such beauty, it made the sun shed a tear, and that was Plants vs Zombies 3. Welcome to 𝑬𝑻𝑵. It's the same thing! January 7th, 2024 brought the launch of PvZ 3 with a fancy new subtitle, and that was all that was new. Thanks for watching. You'd expect for a full-on launch of the game, not just some beta, that it'd feel, you know, done. But it was essentially no different to the betas. None of the real problems with the game had been addressed at all. It just looked identical, and if you don't believe me,
What's the point of a beta if it's the same thing?
Once again, the people that loved this series the most were given a plate full of nothing in what was supposed to be an exciting release. And if that wasn't enough, it still wasn't available worldwide. I just cannot wrap my head around what they were thinking. How are you going to mistreat this absolutely massive series to this extent? Sure, games like Battle for Neighborville did flop, but at least it's still a somewhat decent game that doesn't stop you from playing if you lose too much. And what they've now inadvertently caused by this is that nobody cares anymore. The average person doesn't even know this game exists because it's so
I definitely really didn't. I knew diehard I heard about it, but I never seen it for real.
Fans couldn't care less because they know nothing good will ever come of this game. Even after they updated it to let you choose which plants you use, something the original 2 games already had, and added loads of new content, this game was ruined from the start. No amount of polishing could make it good. You know, as much as I'm bad-mouthing this game, there's still a part of me that has a little hope. Maybe if they just started listening a bit more, updated it quicker, and focused less on it being mobile slop, they could redeem themselves and make this the game it was truly destined to be. What's that sound?
That's tough.
Me? Not even a year after it actually launched for the second time, it was shut down again. Supposedly so they could develop a major overhaul, you know, the thing they already did. I really struggle to understand the point of this. Do they really think people are going to trust that anything they put out after this won't be randomly shut down? It's as if they're trying to artificially create nostalgia or build hype for a game by removing people's access to it and saying, oh, we promise next time it's going to be way better, just you wait. At the time of this video's recording, this is where this game has been left, not existing. Maybe by the time you're watching this, it's out and it's really good and all is forgiven. But that isn't the point of this video, and I honestly don't think it releasing anytime soon even matters. Plants vs Zombies 3 has already failed, whether it comes out in the future or not. This game's launch has already been a massive blunder that shouldn't be swept under the rug due to an acceptable release further down the line. And honestly, maybe this will age really badly. I do not see a world where this game is ever successful. Plants vs Zombies came out in an era where mobile games were a fairly new concept, so it didn't have to constantly be battling for your attention. And that's what allowed it to become so well known and popular. Whereas now, it feels like every app on your phone is fighting for you to keep looking at it, keep playing it, keep wasting your money on it. So realistically, the Plants vs Zombies formula just doesn't work in the modern day. That's the sad reality of it. Plants vs Zombies 3 can't logically win. So my question is, why are they trying so hard for it to? The original game wasn't made for it to be popular. It was made because it was a damn fun game. And if they went into this game's development with the same goal of just making a fun game for the fans, I guarantee it would have done better than trying to make mobile slot game number 462,701. Plants vs Zombies 3 has already failed because they're trying too hard to move past what made the series so great in the first place. Also, PopCap good, EA bad. Like the video. Once again, thanks to 𝑬𝑺𝑹𝑵.
So basically, moral of the story in this video is money is great, it's okay and good in life, but it's not everything. Do not make your whole life about money. But yeah, though, love you all. PLAKZ.